Hello and welcome to this web demonstration of Whizible Execution, an industry-leading service execution management software from CompuLink. In this demonstration, you will find what has made Whizible Execution the chosen platform for more than 200 companies around the world. My name is Shekhar Parnerkar and I'm a Vice President at CompuLink, responsible for delivery and consulting operations. Before we move on to the demonstration itself, I would like to take some time from you to look at the service execution scenario. For any company that's interested in service execution, it's aware that there are two main pipelines. There is the execution pipeline and there is a resource pipeline. The execution pipeline is where most of the work gets done. And this work actually originates in the form of opportunities, which could be projects or deliverables or service requests coming in from prospects. As these projects or deliverables materialize into contracts, we begin with this initiating the project. The project initiation happens by assignment of resources from the resource pool. When resources are assigned, work begins on the execution side. As work, we then enter execution or executing phase. As we enter execution phase, there are two things that may happen. A project may be on track or it could go off track. A project that is on track, it is surrounded by risks which need to be actively managed. Projects that are not able to manage risks, they go off track and the risks become their issues to be handled. Management of issues requires very often resources to be added to the project or to be changed. In either case, we need to change the resource profile of the projects that are in execution. Projects that eventually do complete actually go into the closing phase. As projects close, there are three things that happen. Number one, the resources are released back to the pool. The organization acquires knowledge and with this knowledge helps execution of subsequent projects. And number three, we also are able to invoice our customers and generating money. And this entire cycle of converting of opportunities to tangible deliverables and results for the customer and revenues for the service execution organization is what we term as service execution. And this entire process of service execution must happen within a tight framework of quality and processes. Therefore, in the service execution scenario, we realize that resource pool plays a very critical role. How the opportunities are actually converted to invoicing is all depends upon the quality and quantity of the people and how they are utilized. Let's therefore look at this resource utilization paradox in a more detail. Contrary to popular belief, all resources are not fully utilized in any organization. There is a potential revenue leak at each stage. If we take 100 people from any organization and if let's assume that we bill them at a rate of $200,000, then we would expect $200,000 at the end of each month. But we know from experience that most companies would fail to realize this revenue of $200,000. And this is because there are revenue leaks at each step of the way. Let's quickly look at the revenue leaks. First, there are leaves and holidays, time of resources that cannot be billed. Second, there is bench, people who are not assigned to any project or any assignment. This time is actually a waste. Then we come to the project bench. People may be assigned to projects, they may be assigned to engagements, but there is no work for them. There is no work plan for them. And therefore, that time is also not billable to their clients. These are very typical situations in time and material engagement. When we move to the fixed bid type of projects, we are faced with further leakage points. The first being the underestimation. In a fixed bid project, you get paid for the amount that you have budgeted and quoted to the customer. Any excess, any hours spent on top of that are not billable to the customer. Similarly, any rework that comes out of deliveries made and issues reported by the customers is also not billable. And therefore, underestimation and rework cost to important revenue leaks for fixed bid type of projects. The third type of leakage is unbilled revenue. Even when work is completed on time, it's likely that the revenue realization may not accrue immediately. This may be because of the way the contracts are structured and the payment milestones are agreed. So eventually we find that we do not get $210,000 at the end of the pipe, but we may end up with something more like $160,000. We call that as 80% revenue, 80% resource utilization. And if we look at this, if we look at increasing this billable resource utilization even by a margin of 5%, then that would translate to a 10% increase in net profit. Now this is very simple because we normally bill resources at double the rate, double their cost rate. Therefore, any increase in any increase in resource utilization adds to additional revenue from the same cost base, and therefore it directly adds to the bottom line. Let's now quickly look at the key challenges that face service execution companies. The first, as we just saw, is how to utilize resources fully. We talked about T&M engagements and we talked about fixed bid engagements, but there's a third type of engagement, and that's a far more complex. That's the support and maintenance type of projects. Now in these projects, you get an annuity-based fee and the amount of work to be done is uncertain. So how do we handle resources? How do we resource utilization in such situations? So any combination of fixed bid and support and maintenance type of projects tend to drive the resource utilizations down. The second challenge most companies would face is keeping their projects on track. As we know that fixed bid projects constitute a fair amount, about 35% of total revenue. Keeping these projects on track is very important. What do we mean by keeping projects on track? We mean that they must be delivered on schedule and they must be delivered within the budgeted costs, which is nothing but budgeted man hours. Any project that gets delayed beyond schedule consumes more manpower and therefore leads to more costs and reduced customer satisfaction. The third challenge that we do come across is how to reduce rework and underestimation. Now that we know that rework and underestimation are the key leakage points, how do we address them and how do we reduce them is an area for the process and quality management initiatives to handle. But these quality management initiatives are easier are implemented. Implementation of process and quality management initiatives is easier said than done. The fourth challenge facing service execution industries is the lack of visibility into all above parameters. In the absence of an integrated solution, the senior management of most companies is not aware of how their resources are being utilized. They're not aware of whether their projects are on track and how their process and quality initiatives are performing. And this is a dangerous situation. And that's where Whizible SEM steps in. To take a quick look at Whizible SEM, you'll see that there are modules for project management, timesheets and billing, resources, help desk, knowledge, issues, and processes. All these modules are sufficient to handle most of the requirements of service execution management companies, as we saw earlier. In addition, Whizible SEM also comes with enhanced reports and metrics modules as well as e-dashboards. And this addresses the fourth challenge that we just saw earlier, that is the visibility across organization. With reports, metrics, and e-dashboards, Whizible can produce information required by the senior management in the way they would like to see it, because these are fully customizable. and that is very, very important. So we will move on to the demonstration of this product and how it is organized. So for this demonstration, there are 3 tracks. Track 1 is the corporate track, which covers common modules which can be implemented by any organization regardless of its product mix. Track 2 is of special interest to those organizations that execute a large number of fixed bid type of projects. Here we can cover the complete project lifecycle from initiation to planning, execution to control and close. The track 3 is help about project quality management. It will tell you how to implement processes and keep your projects on track. Each of these 3 tracks would take roughly 40 minutes, and we would begin with track 1. Let's move on to the product demonstration now. Thank you.